At exactly 4:42 a.m., a Russian sniper tower went dark, and an entire air defense grid lit up. Not by missiles first, but by noise, spoofed bombers, decoy flares, a fake volley that forced Book M into full targeting mode. You're about to see how that deception opened the door for Harms and a PZH-2000 quick mission to land on cue. How do you turn a shield into a target? Stay with me as we break the integrated operational sequence and show the exact handoff from false radar returns to real steel on target. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. A sniper tower goes dark, but the radar map explodes. Why does a fake bomber wave trigger more switches than a live missile? At exactly 4:42 a.m., the sequence starts on a cold horizon. The scope floods with 222 cubic meters bomber returns, spaced like a real strike package. Decoy flares glow at split heights. A mock volley pushes a ripple across the net, the first shove that forces hands onto switches. Book M crews see a sky that looks busy enough to kill them. Doctrine says commit, go full targeting mode, bring search, track, and fire control up in a ladder. But the second they do, every emitter shouts its location. The data link hum is a heartbeat you can count. Here's how the spoof lands. Offensive ISR injects false tracks and shaped noise bursts, the kind that sit right in radar processing lanes and force promotion. Search radars escalate those ghosts to likely, then pass them to the tight beam sets that guide missiles. The system believes its own workflow. It has to. Think of the air defense net-like motion sensors down a dark hall. Wave your arms, stomp your boots, send a dog running. Every light snaps on, not because you are there, but because the sensors can't afford to be wrong. The route you need lights up by itself. The baited line isn't one trick. TB2S drones seed timed signatures that rise and fade on cue. Decoy flares add visual clutter so spotters and optics backstop the lie. A ghost volley simulates inbound from 3 bearings, so operators must choose where to weight their defense. Each choice is a reveal. Modern IADS are built to radiate, validate, and fire. That validation step is the trap. To confirm a track, you must light it, dwell on it, and pass it. That dwell lengthens the emission, sharpens the angle, and turns a radar face into a clean target for anti-radiation seekers. Silence saves you, but silence also lets real threats pass. That dilemma is the point. Meanwhile, ISR watches for patterns in the noise. Which emitters surge when a ghost spikes? Which nodes share track numbers? Which station carries the control traffic instead of shooter traffic? By the time Book M cycles into full targeting mode, the map is labeled, real shooters, dummy repeaters, and the command van that ties the sector together. You don't need to see the vehicle. You just need to hear the rhythm. So how did the 222 cubic meter signatures get past radar? They match the cues the system trusts, speed gates within expected bomber lanes, altitude steps that fit doctrine, and emissions that echo known returns. A spoofed air approach is that blend of fed tracks, noise shaping, and timed decoys that builds a credible picture the defender is trained to obey. And the baited line became a trap because it forced emissions right when Ukraine was listening hardest, with ISR stacked and filters tuned for handoffs. For the next minutes, the net burns bright. Operators ride the scopes. Data links churn. Every second in full targeting mode gives away one more coordinate, one more timing habit, one more handshake between nodes. You can feel the shift, defense turns from hunter to beacon. What would you do? Stay dark and risk a blindside, or radiate and dare the seekers? Comment your choice below. If you want to understand the tactical mindset that wins these battles, subscribe now. By the time the false wave crests, the handoff is set. Real emitters are tagged. Decoys are parked. Command nodes are marked for priority fires. With the shield lit up and fixed in place, the second act begins, the strike package that hunts the glow. The air defense grid glows. Who pulls the trigger first when the target is an antenna, not a tank? The strike package is already rolling. F-16 skate the edge, low and quiet, with Harms warmed and waiting for the loudest voice on the net. On the ground, guns are set. Coordinates drip in from ISR, clean and current, down to fence lines and van bays. You don't wait for permission when the window is seconds wide. You read the glow and move. Across the sector, Russian operators sit in the bind we built. Stay dark and risk letting a real attack slide past the net. Radiate and watch every watt become a flare for seekers. That choice isn't theory. It's a timer. Each second a radar stays up is a second the missile needs to find it. Here's the harm effect in plain terms. The radar commits. The seeker hears the tone and rides it. If the crew kills the transmitter, the seeker still knows the last known line. If the crew hesitates, the missile follows a live beam right to the dish. Shutdown equals suppression. Staying up risks a hard kill. Either way, the defense window slams. ISR runs the chain like a metronome. Emissions tagged. Bearings pinned. F-16s loft harms on cue, then hold the edge ready for a second pulse. The instant a radar blinks out, counter-battery windows crack open. From the south, a PZH-2000 drives a 3-round mission, short and violent, set to meet at the same second on the same patch of ground. That is the handoff at work. One switch goes dark, another set of gun lines lights up. You hear it in the radio calls. Magnum. A spike drops. The scope goes empty where a control set had been burning. Moments later, steel arrives at the motorpool fence and the command vent parked beside it. Time on target means 3 blasts feel like 1. It's not about volume. It's about seconds that stack. Why this rhythm matters is simple. Short-fire missions cut exposure. The battery fires, displaces, and lives to shoot again. Counter-battery radars see only a flicker, not a steady string. And when bare TB2S relays refine gun laying near built-up edges, you shave meters off error without loitering a gun in the open. Urban adjacent angles are tricky. Relay nodes clean up the shot so crews don't overstay. Once the emitters fall silent, the ground picture starts to break. Units wait on cues that don't come. Reserves stall at turns because the net that waves them forward is blind and late. Radio nets stack with "say again" as runners replace links. A defense lives on timing. Kill timing, and you kill reach. Watch the cascade. Harms suppress the loud sets, push others to stay dark, and carve a quiet belt through the sector. The PZH-2000 lands on cue, shreds reload points and the trailer that tied shooters to orders. That breach is narrow but clean. Armor can nose in. Engineers can follow and mark lanes. No need to overreach. You don't sprint through a door, you hold it open and feed force. The best part for the attacker is predictability. A re-emission trap teaches habits. Crews that shut down on first tone will do it again. Crews that try to ride out the seeker won't get a second try. You bank that knowledge for the next push and the one after. The net is cut. The corridor opens. In the next beat, it's about how fast you can turn that slit of daylight into a lane wide enough for fuel, tracks, and a bridge unit to cross before the defense finds its depth again. The win wasn't the tower. It was turning a sensor web into a map of targets, then timing steel to that map. At 4:42 a.m., the net lit, and that glow became guidance. Deception opened the door, timing held it. Treat a shield like motion lights in a hallway. Force it to shine, then walk the lit path with harms and guns. That's the method. If you want more breakdowns of how deception sets the table for kinetic wins, subscribe and comment your choice below. Would you risk radiating or stay dark? Next time, we test whether this rupture holds once the defense rebuilds depth and adapts its emissions.